Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Hip Hop Baby's Album Review.
Yes, sir.
It's your host, Dad Lee. We back with another episode. I got my boy Ray with me. You know what it is.
We back. I am excited. Big fan of these two artists, JPEG and Danny Brown. Scaring the house. Ever since they've been teasing this, ever since they've been posting little snippets, stuff has come out, they've been posting clips of themselves working together. I've been excited because this is a duo that is much needed. Two alternative hip hop guys. One of them, a talented ass producer, also a talented rapper, right? JPEG. I feel like knowing what type of beats he can make and seeing Danny Brown kill a beat, he kills any beat, you feel me? He knows how to kill the distorted ass, noisy beats, everything. So I feel like I saw this coming and I'm glad we got what we got.
Everybody knows that Danny Brown got some weird vocals. I mean, he himself in this album says he should probably be in a psych ward for what he be doing on the mic. So you know that's a good pairing for JPEG if you listen to anything that came out previously. He was a veteran. LP, All My Heroes Are Cornballs, all that, man. You really knew what you was getting. I mean, just looking at the album cover, you knew what you was getting, bro. We did a little deep dive to see what this album cover is based off of. Turns out it is a reference to Sweet Jesus Preacher Man, which is a movie from like the 60s or 70s where this preacher would double time as like a vigilante going to kick ass and shit, man, you know. Yeah, and the slogan for the whole movie is you can't out-talk them and you can't out-fight them. What you finna do, man?
Bro.
He gonna out-rap you and he gonna talk about how he's gonna get his Kimber and he's gonna murk your shit.
Leave it up to Danny Brown and JPEG to find a random thing to reference for their album cover and then they go all out with it. Cause even on some of these songs, they throw in some gospel sounds in there. I swear they sample some stuff, maybe even from the movie. If not, they did a pretty good job at making it with the reference because I'm raving, but it's been a minute since I heard from Danny. Besides streaming and an occasional song or two, I think he basically dropped a streaming album that is not really talked about because he just streamed it on Twitch real quick. You feel me? And it's been years. And JPEG's been dropping a lot, but he's independent now. So I wanted to see where he would go with it. And it's tight to see that he's free and he's making moves out the gate. This is a big move. Collab albums in the underground, they happen, but I think this is a one, like I said, Danny Brown coming back, and two, JPEG's been on a roll. So these are the two of the top rappers in the underground right now. Collabing, you feel me?
We definitely got some super exciting. All years are tuned in onto this. We saw what the response was when it dropped. I mean, when we're all together, bro. I mean, who's the weird one? You the odd one out now. We all love this shit. I mean, this thing was caked with internet references. Scaring the Hoes, a true masterpiece for anybody who is chronically online. You're going to understand literally every reference from the first line, bro, which is first off, fuck Elon Musk. $8, bitch, that's too much. That's
for real. Perfect way to start the album. JPEG always going against the capitalistic motherfuckers, the motherfuckers at the top of the food chain, especially if they are a cracker. He's gonna go right at their heads, you feel me? I love that he started out the album with Lean Beef Patty. It was a cool single, right? And even though it has some mastering things, especially with Danny Brown's verse, I can understand Danny Brown on it, and I think Danny Brown added his own flair at the end too. And them just calling the track Lean Beef Patty, again, perfectly going with the chronically online, the jokes and everything. That let me know, all right, we getting something tight. Because this is what I want, an experimental hip-hop album.
He named the track after she's an influencer. And then the opening interpolation is almost like he's like shooting a shot at her or something, bro.
But then it gets all noisy.
Started with your opening track and you shooting your shot at a niche internet celebrity, bro. I commend you, bro. I never would have thought of some shit like that, but I love this one. This one is one of the more full of tracks with like references to like a bunch of different people. I mean, he calls out Elon Musk, Papa John, and Hulk Hogan for being racist. He talks about Kanye, Rittenhouse with the Shot Boy.
You know, you're getting a lot of punchlines. You're getting a lot of wacky bars, a lot of, you know, like you said, cultural references, and JPEG's always on point with that. The way they started out this album, this one flows right in Step a Pig, right? And I was like, bruh, chill out, bruh. They was coming at my neck for a minute. After LP, right, I knew JPEG, whatever he followed up with, because that was my album of the year. I think it was yours in 2021 as well. I'm like, you gonna follow up with something crazy. But Step a Pig, I went right on Twitter after I heard it. I was like, he's a top tier producer. I mean, I already knew that, but that proved it to me because I don't know where they be finding these samples at. I don't know who cleared them. JPEG was ripping it with these beats. They change, they go crazy, they slow down, they pick back up. This is an actual collab album. You could tell they were probably making these songs together. Let's go back and forth. And I think Danny even said he thanked JPEG because Danny's a known alcoholic and, you know, a drug user. And he was like, thank you for putting up with my shit when I was, you know, too fucked up sometimes. And I'm thankful he did because this came out awesome. You feel me?
You know, JPEG is definitely not adverse to drugs. I mean, he starts off a song where he goes, is it the lean, the kush, the met, the you know? like listing off all the drugs that he does in one opening verse. So I'm pretty sure he was okay with Danny being too high on his shit, bro.
It's part of working with Danny. I've listened to Atrocity Exhibition, Triple X. He's always talked about that, his struggles with addiction. And I feel like this one, he didn't focus on that too much. It was way more playful. It was way more aggressive. And that's what I wanted. I want to hear Danny Brown back doing his punchlines. A bunch of like wacky, like over the top cartoony bars about sex, about whatever you want to hear about.
He still kept it grounded on this one. I mean, you talking about Step a Pig. I like Danny's verse on this one where he talks about, his early days dealing and trying to get it out the mud. It wasn't always just about him doing the drugs. He was pushing them first. And he had a nice tribute to De La Soul's Tregoy the Dove when he says, had two plugs because one just died. They had a really grounded verse, and I thought that he compliments JPEG so well because I feel like JPEG just be all over the place kind of with his verses and stuff, and like where he's going at witty punchlines is what he's going for. He's trying to make you like have some kind of shock value, and then you got the complimentary side, which is Danny, telling his story, even though his verses and topic-wise is all over the place, sonically-wise. Two artists that are bending the norm of what a verse could be in two different ways is perfect.
I had to point out a line that JPEG said, Callan Cap, free agent, cap the salary, free up my team. I love that line. Like I said, he's independent now. He's no longer dealing with being oppressed by a label. I could tell with LP the way he released it on Bandcamp, with the samples he wanted, and then he put it on iTunes with the, certain songs off the EPs because, the label wouldn't work with him probably. So now that he's free, he could do whatever the fuck he wants. He can stand for whatever the fuck he wants, and that's tight. JPEG, people compare him to Def Grips a lot because, he's a black rapper that does noise rap sometimes, but it reminds me of Def Grips when they had to leave Epic because Epic wasn't trying to put out the music they wanted to, and they just said, fuck it, we're gonna leak the album. With JPEG, now knowing he's free, I feel like he went fully in with these samples and with some of these lines. JPEG talks a lot about radical views on his music. He talks a lot about racism and stuff, so I think that was a perfect reference.
On this song alone, he comes for incels and for white people. The incel line was hella funny. They off that 2chan high. Incels just can't let it go like Frozen. But if they let off these shots, no games, you finna dance like Gotenks. I was crying laughing at that one. And then always ragging on white people, and he was trying to figure out what their culture was. He figures out that white people love making excuses and bitching. I guess that's what culture is for them.
That was dope. I also love, I don't know if this was that this track where he says he's taking shots like DeRozan?
He was saying, y'all can't hold your liquor, and I'm over here every day taking shots like
DeRozan. That was a dope ass basketball like reference. See, like they do witty little things like that. Not all this music is super nerdy. It's super weird. Of course, they're calling it scaring the hoes, but JPEG and especially Danny, they talk about some of the street shit. And I love to hear Danny Brown back on his old shit. This was a big example of that. Step a Pig, he was back. The voice is super animated because I feel like on You Know What I'm Saying, he kind of slowed it down because Q-Tip was working with him. Now he's working with JPEG. He could fully be like, fuck it, scaring the hoes. The title track, perfect example of that. That rock ass beat, play something for the bitches. How the fuck we gonna make money off this shit? Like, what? I'm getting animated, but nigga, that hit me in my face. I was like, yo. And this track hit. This track hit for that reason. Watch out.
What auto-tune that?
Yeah, I love that. He says, you want to be an MC, what is it, 93? I love it. Pointing fingers at people who just make music for money and for the ladies. A lot of rappers sometimes, you make music to sell. But I think they're pointing out that, a lot of the rap game has totally defaulted to that, and that's not what it should be about. You should be making music you want to make and for your fans, and also just challenging people. Like I'm saying, this is some different. I don't hear a lot of music like this, and that's why I'm getting so animated because this is new.
The beat build on this is as iconic as Lil Wayne's Let the Beat Build, bro. Little drums picking up, and he's talking his shit, and then all of a sudden you hear this fucking crash of the guitar and the beat coming in, bro. It was crazy, bro. I promise, I wasn't scared. I was having a good time. None of these songs are particularly like groovy outside of like maybe the Orange Juice song, like that one. None of them really have groove, and none of them are like consistent, like letting the beat build to a certain point and like being formulaic songs. Like even on these first ones that we're talking about, intro track, there was verse 1, verse 2. I just like that how JPEG structures his songs are not formulaic. Each one was a surprise on what he was going to do. He lets the beat build all the way. He lets it cut out. He keeps rapping when it comes back on. Just like he doing off the wall shit that's not like formulaic music that could be perceived as scaring the hoes. But you know what? Fuck them hoes.
Make music for yourself and for your fans. Don't make music to appease other people. And that's why I've always been one of those people that, sometimes, you change what you play around people, of course. Sometimes with me, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna play what I want to hear because, you know, as a person who's into music, you just want to hear some sound. It's like, bro, I don't want to change because you want to hear this. I'm not gonna say watered down, but you know, it's like obviously, you know, certain artists, they make music to appease people. That was perfect. And then you go into Garbage Pail Kids. What is that loop that just goes over and over, and then they bring in the guitar or whatever that is again, and it just riffs for a minute?
Yeah, it was like some like Japanese commercial or something like that, or some Korean commercial for tennis, right?
That's
And
crazy.
in the loop, they're just like basically saying like Genghis Khan a bunch of times. The way that I perceived it was that all these new rappers are Garbage Pail Kids, and I'm Genghis Khan. I'm the first fucking call of the Mongol army, nigga. What you gonna do?
If I'm not mistaken, Garbage Pail Kids also were, they were cards. My mom and dad used to have them, and I remember I went through them. They had like an old collection, and to me those cards were gritty. They were like dirty, like the pictures the kids would be doing like some weird dirty shit. I feel like that fits with this album as well because this is gritty. This is aggressive. It's in your face. Messy. Just JPEG coming in with that crazy energy. This was another highlight.
The reason why I said that a reference to new age rappers is because in these verses, Danny says that, you know, rappers are so unconcerned with rapping nowadays, they might as well start a bathrobe line. And
he says flow, like rappers are more about flow now, and that's true. People really be focused on the flow, when really sometimes it's about the bar. You know, we got rappers who literally just get by because they can flow good.
And then Peggy's verse is more about, you know, people saying they're about stuff and they're not really about it. He says rappers are more concerned with posting memes than grabbing a beam.
That's true. These rappers be talking shit, and then they be on social media, and they also be snitching on each other. When things hit the fan, they ain't really what they rapping about, and that's what I like about JPEG and Danny Brown. They really, at least as far as I know, they are about what they rapping about. They ain't trying to act too hard. They're not trying to act like they in a gang and shit. You feel me? It's all just, you know, them talking shit about whatever they want to talk stuff about.
Danny had a really good line in this one. In the previous song, actually, he had one that kind of alludes to what this one's going to mean, so I'll give you that one as context. He said, Brown has one extra like BBC. BBC One is a radio station for British broadcast. White girls on me, all on me, they want that blank. You know what he's alluding to. And then in this song, he says, I show up on your screen like televangelist. I have faith that I can clap those cheeks. Like, you can get what he's saying with that, you know.
Yes.
We love you, Danny. You know, just spell it out for us, bro. You know, you can say it.
One of the GOATs, man, from Detroit. I love that he's back, and I hope he keeps dropping projects after this, because we're gonna go in the next one. Fentanyl Tester. Oh my god, that sample, I don't know how they cleared that shit. Shout out to Shady to say, but shout out to Pharrell and Hugo. It should be Kellis, but you know, she's dealing with the money and all that shit from her deal back in the day. But that was a tight sample. That milkshake sample, especially how they start working it at the end to almost like a club song. Like, why are we getting groovy to milkshake? It's still aggressive, but some of the beat breakdowns, and especially later on the track, it's like, I can see myself dancing to the club to this. I wasn't expecting nothing like that.
It's like a dance song, but he's talking about like beating people up and like not taking no shit. That's where the aggressiveness comes in. He even says you can get rocked like Krishan. It don't even matter.
I love that one. Yep, Krishan Rock. Yep. The culture references is here.
Every single song. So Danny actually referenced the sample of this track in the song before it when he says it's going to take a whole lot more than milkshakes to bring Brown to your yard. I thought that was cool. You know, the references are like stacking on top of each other and like moving throughout the album. In the first one, actually, JPEG brings up, we're stretching a girl like Iron Sheik, and he's famous for the Cobra Clutch, which is they reference along with many other wrestlers and stuff. You can see all of their likes and hobbies and interests inside of this project. So it's not just about what the topic is. It's more of a like passion project, showing more of who they are together. And I think that's really cool.
They talk about video games. As we go into Perfect, I think that's how you say it. That's a NFL player. I think that's the NFL player that hit AB so hard they say he gave him CTE. He's a known dirty, aggressive player, if I'm not mistaken. Vontez, I think. Perfect. Nigga, that was the perfect title for that track. Like, this has been out on YouTube, I think, for a while. It was like an unreleased, untitled track. When I heard this one on the album, bruh, y'all started jumping like, oh my god. Okay. I done came up from the ruins. That was a highlight. Instant fave. Even though I heard it before, it was cool to hear it in CD quality.
That was a great one. It's one of the best choruses on the whole thing. This is just a crazy ass song, bruh. I love the quotables on this one. Danny saying it's hard like Sudoku. I put it in her Duke shoot. Peggy dissing NATO, saying Choppa's like NATO, that shit comes in caseloads. And then making fun of bitches who use Snapchat filters. Dogs cover they face, that bitch Mac homie.
Saying so many witty punchlines. You gotta stay on your toes. It needs multiple listens, especially if you're not accustomed to this sound. This is an album you gotta sit with. You and I, we've been listening to JPEG and Danny for a while now, and I think, you know, at least for me, it instantly snapped. Some of the songs took more, like a few more listens as far as like, okay, what are you talking about? But it instantly slapped as far as the beats, a lot of the rhythm on here that they were using and everything. It just all flowed.
I agree. I don't think that it's been like a stretch for me to like listen to a JPEG album since All My Heroes Are Cornballs clicked for me. Once that kind of clicked, and kind of smooth sailing ever since. But yeah, I would say that if you aren't a typical listener to JPEG or Danny, you definitely got to give this one a few listens. But the reason why people say it's nerdy is like the samples, like the use of the samples and the way that he does stuff is so technically like advanced that a lot of people can't like understand why it's good, right? You don't even know why people praise this as being good songs in general. JPEG is so technical and so crazy with these beats. And then the fact that not even just him, like his ability to rap over his beats is crazy. But then get somebody completely different to like come in here and just murder them, bro. Like that is a feat for sure. And you know, who better than Danny?
I think JPEG used to say at one point he wanted to mainly be a producer, but no one wanted to rap over his beats because they're so experimental, they're so different. And that's why I really focus on the fact that him and Danny Brown pairing up is perfect, because if there's one rapper that can rhyme over any beat, it's Danny Brown. Atrocity Exhibition showed me that. It's plus in the past he's done it, especially on I think Old, and he had side A, side B. Side B, he was rapping over dance tracks, talking about Molly, going crazy. This reminded me of that old school Danny Brown where you're just talking about turning up, don't care about who you're offending, shut your bitch ass up, Muddy Waters again. Boom, boom, shut your bitch ass, what? That bass was kicking just in my ear when I'm listening to it in my headphones, just boom, boom. Like, I love what Danny Brown talks about when he stops popping them pills and stuff. It was like a 2-track. It switches like kind of when JPEG pops up and he starts talking about Muddy Waters and stuff. That was cool too.
How I got more ill when I stopped popping them pills. Now I'm slanging propane like I'm king of the hill.
Love that.
I like this one. You got the double song. They did this actually a couple of times, I think, where they had the double song. They did this later with Run the Jewels, where that was another double song. It wasn't named a double song, but it definitely was. Just a great track, you know, Danny coming in, talking his shit, and then you got JPEG right after, and they got tons of fucking funny shit that they're saying. The druggies all up on me like I'm Tom Holland. Shout out Zendaya.
Definitely need to look at the lyrics for this album. If you can, pull them up. Because I know a lot of people nowadays, they're not listening to rap that is doing that. And if they are, it's way more simple. I feel like you know, it takes some time, especially over this production. If you can't hear everything, pull up the lyrics. I think it'll help a lot. You definitely should see the references.
They're not like little quick ones, you know. It's like literally the entire song. There's a reference. Mm-hmm. I always think that's just dope because, you know, you always get to see the inner workings of somebody else's mind, what they're thinking about on the daily. You know I have 100 references float through my mind every day, and I always let those out. So I like seeing my rap tell me who they were influenced by. Like, we really watched the same shit, or we really listened to the same shit. No wonder I like your music. The next song is crazy, bro. Orange Juice Jones, bro.
Yep.
This fucking chorus, bro, the way that he bends the words on the chorus was great. I love that. You know what I'm talking about? Where he gets real breathy with it, and he's like, I like the way she blow.
Off these narcotics?
Yeah, the way that he bends the words, you know, so and blow, doing his Danny Brown thing. It was a really good chorus, and I like this track. This is a really good midway through the entire album. The sample they got on it was really smooth. They're just having fun, bro.
I had a few quotables off this. Off that Casamigos got her taco dropping on the floor. Danny said that one, and then JPEG said, your parents lied. You ain't special, you weak. I love how JPEG always goes at people's family and shit. Like, he's grilling you. He's like, nigga, you ain't shit. Nigga, your family ain't shit. They lying to you. Like, he's always consistently just, you could tell if he wasn't, I'm thinking he was one of those kids that was roasting everybody. He had to be, because he be roasting on these albums. Like, I don't know who he's talking shit about, and if he might just be talking shit in general, but sometimes I feel like it's personal. Like, who are you talking about? Brought up Run the Jewels. I thought there was people saying, or at least Redville said he was going to be a feature. I thought maybe Run the Jewels, he might get Run the Jewels or one of them on there, because he's worked with them on 3 tiers.
I mean, that's why he named it that, right?
Yeah, it was
produced by
JPEG, and I think it was obviously, you know, a reference, and I think they say something on the track like that. But again, keeping it up with the references.
The way that Red Veil is the only feature on this thing, bro.
Oh yeah, on Kingdom Hearts Key.
Bro, he's the only feature on this whole thing.
You know, sometimes with collab albums, sometimes they'll do a solo track for each artist. There was nothing like that on this. Every track, I think, was both of them on there. And that was cool to see. Because if you're doing a collab album, I mean, I get it. Sometimes you want to flaunt a solo track, but I want all of it damn near to be a collab album. That's what it's for, right? If I want to hear a solo track from JPEG or Danny Brown, I could go listen to their album. Just make every track a collaborative track, and that's what they did. Kingdom Hearts Key was another one of my highlights.
Yeah, so the sample on this song is actually produced by Yoko Kanno, which is a prolific anime music composer, written scores for Cowboy Bebop and Turn a Gundam. He's previously sampled this same producer on Beta Male Strategies. So you know you was going to get something else that was elite like this. And I was talking about song structures earlier. This is one of my favorite song structures. The way that he goes in with like little four-liner, chorus, four-liner, chorus, four-liner, and then it goes JPEG verse, Danny verse, Red Veil verse.
They all bring in their own flows.
Exactly.
The beat changes a little bit for the artist, and that's what makes JPEG so special. But I feel like he's making these beats specifically for this collab project. He's making them specifically for this artist to be here, for Danny to write this part, because the beats, like I said, the beats will change depending on who's rapping sometimes to make the flow work, because they have different flows, especially Danny with his voice. And I feel like JPEG knows how to make either a sound kick in to make it flow and make it like sound crazy, or he'll like let it chill and just let Danny rip it or let himself rip it. You feel me? We love collab projects where it's a producer and a rapper, and that's kind of what this is, but JPEG is also a good rapper, so it works out.
Yeah, shout out to Red Veil for that verse, bro. That verse was fire. I thought he held up his own against, you know, two other amazing rappers. So we remember when he was coming up with AG Club, right? So
I like he was focusing, or like they emphasized the end of certain parts of his verse. Because especially, you know, some of those lines he was spitting, so it was like, okay, if you didn't hear me the first time, they would yell the end of the line, and that was cool.
Yeah, like they would voice over it, and it'd be like this ad lib, but instead of it being like an ad lib, he was like, preach.
Yeah, that was tight.
I love that part too. After this, we got God Loves You. Danny just wants you to know that God loves you. He wants you to know that she's with his dick, and she's David, and he's Goliath, bro. And she's slinging her thong at him like a slingshot, bro. Like,
he's crazy. I knew when I saw this track. I was like, dude, JPEG always gotta have a God song. He always has to have like a choir or something looped, and then he finds a way to make it the most wicked track of the album. I swear. He's a man of the Lord. He's just like me for real. I love also that Danny Brown said, if you on your period, call me Moses, because I'm about to split that Red Sea. That made me jump out of my seat. With the religious references, like, and everything, yeah, that was a dope little track.
One of my favorite themes for any of the songs so far. Right after that, we got Run the Jewels. And you was talking about earlier, you like Danny on some of those like electro pop type beats. And this one, this is a really good one for him. The first part of the song is just JPEG, and it's like a really like pretty dry cut beat. And then right after that, you get into the electro like pop beat, and this is probably like one of the most like dance worthy parts of the album, bro. Like I was grooving. I was like,
Danny has done collabs with like dance artists and stuff, and it's pretty catchy. He knows how to do that, so I thought that was cool. I was like, the hell is this? In a good way though. It's not an interlude, but it's almost like it kind of felt that way. It was like a short little switch up, and then it gets right into Jack Harlow Combo Meal, which was crazy title. If you don't know, Jack Harlow, he made KFC Combo Meal for a little bit, and he was promoting it. I think it was funny how, you know, he's a white rapper. People think he's corny after that last album, you know, after the hype wore off. And I love how Danny says, man, I can't fuck with y'all niggas. Y'all let Jack Harlow sell y'all chicken. And it was funny when you really think about it, because Jack is a rapper, and he, you know, he profits off our culture in a sense. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a culture vulture. I mean, you know, he seems like a cool dude.
Any white person who goes into hip hop and is making hip hop is profiting off of black.
But there's a difference between being a culture vulture, because I think he kind of understands the culture. From what I've seen of Jack, he seems like a cool dude, right? I remember when Mary J. Blige did a crispy chicken commercial, and that was a big deal. It was like a controversy. And you see someone like Jack, who's white, you know, of course, because of the racial stigma that's been placed on us. I thought that was an interesting point to make, that you wouldn't see a black rapper promoting chicken, but you see him doing it, and he's getting all these deals off making kind of mid music in a sense, you know. And I thought that was a crazy bar. I really love that. Just like JPEG talking this shit, and I love to see that.
No means are we hating on Jack Harlow. It's just like, come on, bro. How you letting mid sell you mid?
No, he's a super mainstream rapper.
Mainstream.
Yeah, that's why they did that. That's why they did that. Maybe it's personal.
What, bro?
But
sampling fucking glamorous, bro.
Yeah, corny,
bro.
Corny. A lot of these beats, he's chopping it up to the point where you look it up, or unless you just know the song, like you got to be like, what is that? And then he makes it like a whole new song. He's not just sampling and just throwing it basically on the track. He's making it a whole different track with all these tracks.
Jack Harlow, copyright infringement. JPEG, fair use.
I love that. Did you have a bar or anything?
You get used to these crackers accusing you when you black. It's a regular thing.
I felt that personally.
The next song is Ho, Heaven on Earth, scaring the hoes, scaring heaven away from earth. Wow, bro.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's fully for the hoes, but it kind of was. It was different.
You was feeling the organ chords in the background, bro? You wanted that.
It was a slower song for this album. Got kind of groovy.
Yeah, no. JPEG got real intimate, bro. He said, I feel like AB gives Giselle the whole rule.
I quoted that, but that one was that would have me dying. He's foul for that.
I really liked Danny's verse on here. He was talking about turning to God when he needed help, or he was talking about his homie catching a drug charge and they went to pray. You would only catch them at church when there was a funeral. When he caught his first felony, he fell to his knees. Caught my felony, fell to my knees. That shit was hard. And then when he texted God, the text turned to green. The subtle Drake reference, bro.
I like this track. I thought it was another dope track. Kind of, catches you off guard, because it's like, okay, you changing it up a little bit right before the ending. JPEG also rips it. Again, it was another dope track, especially going into where you get your coke from. It's straight up with it. Like I said, after fentanyl test, they're like, yeah, this shit dope. Where you get it from? And they go into that. We said earlier, references a movie with the cover. It's basically, they redid it. That sound where like the drums and everything kept going. That was a cool way to end the album, because it did feel like a movie. Even like the cover and everything, it kind of felt like a movie, experience.
I definitely fucked with this track. You were talking about the ending. I like how it leads back into the beginning. The first song really well. It's a very replayable album. It's only like 30 something minutes. The way that this song transitions into Lean Beef Patty is, this nigga was cooking from front to back, bro. Beat is eccentric as fuck. It reminds me of Scaring the Hoes a little bit, like kind of similar beat pattern, where it just like it breaks down and it gets real minimal. It's got like the little bongo drums, and you hear that and you hear them going in on it, and the beat breaks down again and you focusing on the beat. So I really like how we were talking about how JPEG is wanting to be a producer mainly, how he's able to highlight his beat making ability without sacrificing his flow, what the artist is going for. Just simple things like breaking the beat down just down to its drums so that they can spit on it and give a real impactful, meaningful verse is something that a lot of producers wouldn't even think of.
It was a chaotic ending to a mostly chaotic album. I feel like JPEGMAFIA, like I said earlier, he solidified his spot as a top tier producer. He's on a run like no other, dropping projects back to back to back pretty much. He consistently drops. They're high tier. Even the EPs he was dropping, and this was a good way to say, hey man, I want to get another rapper, because JPEG doesn't get a lot of features. So it was cool to see him reach out to Danny and say, hey man, let's just rip an album real quick and then let's see what happens. And this is perfect. I want more. I remember earlier they were saying Scaring the Hoes Volume 1. I hope there's a Volume 2 plan. I want more. Like they're saying, well, where you get your coke from? I'm addicted now. I need more dope. Give me more of this shit. This is top tier music. Definitely gonna be up there on my list. This was a crazy album. Enjoyable. Highest of the recommendations, unless you just don't like alternative rap and you don't noisy rap. But not all the tracks are super noisy. I feel like you could maybe find something. Like you say a lot of times, I don't know what you're listening to. Maybe that's just me, because my ear, I'm so used to Scaring the Hoes now. It's whatever. You feel me? Like this is normal. This is casual music to me now. I can just listen to this chilling. You feel me?
Bro, you listen to clipping without a second thought, bro. You just be fucking sitting there like, yo, this is gas. This is tame compared to that, bro. What I had to go through, my trials and tribulations, nigga. Christ.
This is right up my alley. So, and it's dope to see that you like it too. You like JPEG. We haven't really talked about Danny Brown, so I was wondering how you would feel about Danny, rapping over this type of production fully. And it's dope that you seem to like it, right?
I mean, listen, bro. Danny is an amazing rapper. Like you said many times, Danny has the ability to flow and rap. Anybody who can do something like that, where they can nail into like any type of vibe you're looking for, is somebody that I highly tout. Versatility is the name of the game, bro. You know, people have different moods, people have different vibes that they try to go for, and if you can hit all of them, then you top tier, bro. So I really fuck with that. Did you see anything out of this project, evolution wise, from either of these rappers that really stood out to you? You know, maybe something that they bounced off of each other in a way that you weren't expecting or something like that?
Songs like Orange Juice Jones, I think that was a cool melodic, like cool little track where they bounced off each other and it flowed kind of cool. I think that could be like my casual track. I play around people if they're too scared, you know what I'm saying? JPEG said that people didn't want to rap over his beats, so I think he's figuring out who he can work with in the future. Because I would like to see more features. I would like to see him work with more artists, especially after I saw him work with Run the Jewels, and it was crazy.
And then he got Redville on this one too.
Redville on this one, so I hope he can work with more people and more people start to reach out for him for beats, because I feel like he could be one of those producers that people hit up and is like, I need a track that's crazy, that's animated, that's off the wall, crazy sample, and you just let me rip it. I think that was kind of cool for me to see fully on the album. You know, him working with someone else, and it's not like his beats are too overbearing for the artist. It wasn't like he picked the wrong person, and I think that's a skill that he showed me. I love that for him. I think Danny Brown showed me that he can come back to the more aggressive style consistently, and it's going to be killer. I hope he gets back to working with dance artists and some of the random artists he used to work with that make some crazy wacky tracks, you know?
And the ability to find people to work with. I mean, Redville in the rap game, you know, culture, like, you know about Redville, but to see the progression from his own stuff to like Learn to Swim to coming to here onto this one, and honestly the beat style wasn't too different than what Redville is used to rapping on. So it was actually, I was surprised how seamless it was. I was like, what I feel about this, and then I heard it and I was like, oh, duh, of course. This nigga loves anime beats, bro. Like, Redville loves types of beats like this, so I love that they're showing love to, you know, somebody like him who was just coming up, who was around our age and stuff. He's still tapped into the newer stuff. He's always looking for new stuff. I think he's always evolving as an artist, and that's something that I really admire about JPEG in general. Like this album a hell of a lot. It's perfect runtime for me. I think that the range that it goes on and the wackiness that it has and characters and charismatic energy that they put into this, bro, like, how could you not love this album unless you literally are just not paying attention? You gotta be dead asleep, bro. So, or you gotta be Christian and you gotta listen to Ho one time, listen to God Loves You one time, and you know, you'll swear this off.
Yeah, they'll use a religious song and turn it into some crazy stuff. I hope JPEG starts to work with other artists. I want a solo album from Danny as well, because it's been a minute since I just heard from him. He's one of those artists I like to check up on, and he usually talks about some deep shit. He did get kind of deep on this, but he kind of just focused on having fun and making a lot of references, and that's tight to see as well. This is a highlight. This is probably going to be one of my faves of the year. Not probably, it is. It is one of my faves of the year. Easily.
Y'all make sure y'all stream this album so that Danny Brown can recover from Atrocity Exhibit and all those serious.
Yeah, Exhibition. Yeah, bro. Yeah. I don't keep the art form of sampling. I feel like if you were an artist, and unless you just don't want to hear your music over rap music, they sampled these songs in a way, like I said, that's original. It's not like you're just hearing the OG song and it's like, oh, this is the same song, just you rapping over it. Nah, it's a completely new song.
People rag on sampling so much because there's so many lazy samples nowadays where niggas will literally just fit an entire song that they heard into their own song, bro. Like
sampling another hit that recently came out, especially recently. It's like, bro, that recently just came out and you're sampling another song that's from a sample.
So you can put a verse over it, like not even like doing anything artistically different. It's always appreciated when we got somebody who is actually doing the right thing with references and sample tracks. So shout out Peggy for that. Shout out Danny coming out of retirement for this. Shout out all y'all for watching. Thank y'all so much. This has been a really fun video. We've been looking forward to reviewing this. So please share this. Please like, please comment, subscribe. The algorithm will share it for us if you just do all those things. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please stream this album. Peggy, Danny, if you're watching, bless your soul. Bless you. I'm going to say definitely top 10 this year. I don't care what else comes out. I will make it fit in my top 10.
Danny, JPEG, if you watch it, man, thank you for this album. I really appreciate it. It was much needed this year. Something, like I said, different, something energetic, something that reminds me why I love hip hop. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, we reviewed some good albums this year, but it's been, I'm not going to say a slow year, but it's been weird. You know, it's been some good projects, but nothing really that's like blown my ear away, and this was something that kind of blew my ear away. It was kind of what I was expecting, but it wasn't at the same time with some of the samples, with the way they work some of the tracks together. So yeah, if y'all watching this, man, I want another one. Don't give me this one fix and then run off on me, man. I need that double up, bruh. Give me more, you feel me? Thank y'all for making an amazing album. This is top tier. With that being said, peace.